What's up, everybody? An artist named Kyle Martin reached out to me on Instagram, and he asked me if he could send over his figures here, his Smashcraft figures here, basically for me to share them on the channel and to do a review. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I don't do this with just any artist, but I actually was already following him on Instagram, and I saw some of his artwork. He does like these mashups between the Peanuts art style. Of course, that's Charlie Brown and Snoopy, you know, those characters. He kind of mashes them up with popular characters, like I've seen him do them with Stranger Things, you know, that sort of mix. So yeah, do check him out on Instagram, you know, follow him and check out his artwork. And like I said, you know, he reached out to me, and I decided to go ahead and you know, review these figures for him. He did send a letter along with these, so let me start off with the letter. It says here, of course, it has Smashcraft, the logo there at the top. Hey, welcome to the world of Smashcraft, story-driven collectibles. Smashcraft is inspired by my childhood. Whether it was toy hunting with my dad or watching Saturday morning cartoons in the 90s, it all comes together in Smashcraft. These are the first 12 figures from a small batch produced. They make up most of the central characters on Future Zero, a planet outside the limits of comprehension. Future Zero is filled with stories of old made new, where myths and monsters collide, resulting in fantastical adventures packed with epic battles, sincerity, everyday life, humor, and more. Nothing is off the table when it comes to this fun-filled world. Some may wonder, will there be comics, shows, movies? You betcha. Even the comics have comics in their comics. What's that mean, you say? Stay tuned. Then it says, by the way, you can read some of the comics at the comics at www.smashcraft.com. So do make sure you check out that website. I'll try to remember to link it in the description. It's going to be fun. This is the first step towards my dream becoming a reality. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And there it is, signed by Kyle Martin. So really, it is his enthusiasm. That's really the main reason why I did want to check these out and share them on the channel, because I just appreciate when people are very enthusiastic, they have a concept, and they actually follow through with it. There are a lot of people that have dreams and they talk about them, but they don't really take the steps to make them a reality. So I appreciate when people actually follow through on what it is they're trying to accomplish, and they put some real effort into what they're trying to accomplish as well. Like I said, I've had other people reach out to me, and when I take a look at what they're producing, it just doesn't feel like there's much effort behind it. So then I'm not going to share something like that. But like I said, I do feel like there is real effort here. Now, I do want to say, though, I am going to give a honest review here. You know, I'm going to be honest about the way I feel about these individual collectibles here. One thing I do want to say real quick is I saw the setup for these figures on Amazon. I actually like the way that they are set up on Amazon, and I will link, I'll put the Amazon link in the description. It's a pretty nice layout. You know, it is eye-catching. So, yeah, he set up very well, you know, for a success over there on Amazon. But let's go ahead and start running through. What I'll do basically is I'll run through the figures, I'll show the boxes, and then we'll take a closer look at all of them out of box. So let's start over here. And remember, this is a mishmash of characters. So we have here Frankenstein. It says Professor at the University of Transylvania. And Adventures Just Beyond, I guess, is like, you know, the slogan there to go along with Smashcraft. Each of these does have a story on the side of the box, and you notice it does say Series 1. Remember, he plans to continue with this. Myths and Monsters, it says there. And I'm not going to read each of these stories. I'll just hold them for a moment in case you do want to pause and check out the stories going on there. Of course, it shows this first wave on the back. Let's see, there's a QR code there as well. Okay, so there's Frankenstein. Next up here we have Zeus. And this seems to be like a sort of steampunk version of Zeus, King of Olympus and Greek god of thunder. And I'm very curious. I don't know if these are just like and Kyle, you know, if you're checking this out, definitely sound out in the comments. How did you go about choosing these characters? Because I mean, they really are pulled from, you know, different things. So we have here Hades. You know, there's obviously some Greek legends here, or Greek gods. We have Frankenstein, you know, which I think he's, well, no, he's not the only like Universal Monster type character. And I'm saying Universal Monster just because they really popularized those characters. I know they didn't like create all of them. But yeah, here we have Hades, King of the Underworld. Okay, there's a story on the side. And I will try to move through these quickly, you know, so we just see the boxes. I'm going to talk a lot more about the designs and everything once I have these out of box. We got Little Red, of course, as in Little Red Riding Hood. It says bookworm and friend to most forest folk. A story on the side there. I will say this is very ambitious, you know, to try to do so much with this property up front, you know, having all these things conceptualized. Thor, King of Asgard, which Thor definitely jumps out at me just because I just finished playing God of War Ragnarok, which I enjoyed that game overall. You know, if you played it, definitely let me know your thoughts about it in the comments. I know that's not the focus of the video, but it is on my mind right now because I just played it. And it's, you know, interesting here. Of course, we got Thor and we got Loki here. Shape-shifting, mischief-making trickster. Nice description for Loki, of course. You do notice here, by the way, I haven't been pointing it out for all of these, but you notice the original artwork there for these characters. And I will talk some more about that once we have these out of box. So bringing Egyptian lore into it. Second in command of the underworld. I don't really know a whole lot about Egyptian lore. And about Anubis, obviously I'm familiar with, you know, the character. Okay, then we have Athena, warrior and princess of Olympus Kingdom. I think when I first saw this one, I was kind of mixing her up with another one of the goddesses, maybe Aphrodite. But I think Aphrodite is like the goddess of love. Whereas Athena, yeah, she's definitely focused on like war strategy. And there's something else. You know, a lot of the gods, they have more than one. Gods and goddesses have more than one focus. Okay, here, King Arthur, Dragon Whisperer, and King of Camelot. Okay, and there's his story there. Artwork there on the side. Okay. Then we have here Dracula, son of Count Dracula, and avid gamer. Okay, so that's interesting to refer to him as an avid gamer. I think he's the first one that really has something said about him that's not what you typically think about with the character. So that must fit into the overall story. Okay, then we have here Merlin, world-class wizard and shapeshifter. We got another shapeshifter because remember Loki's a shapeshifter as well. Kind of wonder if that plays into any storylines that Kyle has in mind. Okay. And what's he holding there? Fire and a book, magic's book, I guess. Okay, so we'll take a closer look at that in a moment, of course. And then finally here we have Poseidon, Sea King of the North. Okay, there's a storyline there. As you can see here, each of these figures does come with a sticker. I'm not going to show all of them because it's the same artwork that you see on the side of the boxes, but I'll just show one of them here, you know, the one for Thor. So I think that is a nice detail, you know, to add in a sticker there as well. Whether it's a sticker or a pin, I like things like that with collectibles. I know there's a lot of other companies that will give you either a sticker or, you know, a little art card, something along with the figure. I appreciate touches like that. So let's start going through the figures here. So Zeus actually was the first one I looked at close here. And you see, and I'm going to try to see, hopefully you can see this clearly. The camera will focus enough here. This very much has a hand-painted look to it, which can be a good thing with some collectibles, and I think it does work overall with these figures. But I will say the paint job here on Zeus probably could be a little bit cleaner there because there is some bleeding of the white onto his skin there. And with the hair, I think you can up close kind of see some of the brush strokes. I think that probably could blend a little bit better there. Now, as far as the actual design, I guess it's sort of meant to be like a sort of steampunk take on Zeus, which can make sense in a way. And let me check the storyline real quick because obviously, you know, electricity, lightning is associated with Zeus. And I think he does have a connection here to, if I remember correctly, I think he has a connection to Frankenstein. So that kind of makes sense there. But of course, I'd have to, you know, read more about the storyline and everything there. So overall, I think the design works well enough for Zeus. I just think the paint job for this particular one could be cleaner. And he did mention that this is like an early run of the figures. I'm just putting it out there. Like I said, I'm giving an honest review. I think the paint jobs definitely need to be consistent with this particular line. Okay, and then Frankenstein. I'll be honest, this is not one of my favorite designs out of these figures here, and that's just a gut reaction. I'll just be honest with you, a gut reaction to looking at the figure. Not super crazy about the design, and maybe his design does, you know, tie into the story because it almost looks like a superhero take on Frankenstein. And I'm just going to kind of browse here real quick. From looking at the story, yeah, it seems like there's kind of a reason behind his design. It's just not a design that I would immediately take to Frankenstein. I know he's trying to be unique with these, but this just is not one of my favorites. You know, I'm just being honest there. One thing I do like about the figures, I gotta say though, before I move on, I like the heft to them. Each of these does really have some weight to them. They feel really solid. I appreciate that. You know, I get really annoyed with collectibles that just fall over easily. You know, I do have some Funko Pops out of box. I'm kind of a mixed collector. I'm mainly in box with Funko, but I do have some Pops out of box, and sometimes they just don't want to stand. Well, that can be kind of annoying. So I do prefer more solid figures like this. And in terms of the height, these are comparable pretty much to Funko Pops. They're about the same height. So there you see, yeah, same height as, you know, a standard Funko Pop. Yeah, pretty much the same height there. Now, I do wonder, I'm not sure how Kyle's production is set up, if he can do characters that are a little bit larger. Some of them with the hats, you know, the headwear that they have going on look like they're just a bit taller. And that does make me think that, I don't know. I tend to think of Zeus as kind of a large figure and, you know, a large individual, basically. So I do think his figure maybe should stand just a little bit taller than the others, but that's not really necessary because, I mean, you think about Russell Crowe's take on Zeus. He wasn't necessarily large. You know, that's just the way I tend to think of that character, though. Next up here, we have Little Red. And I'll say right away, and you notice that the expression is pretty similar from character to character. There are some that are slightly different, but most of them have sort of a mischievous look to them. I think it does work with Little Red. I like that she's throwing up the peace sign there. Definitely like that she has the wolf's head on her head. You know, I think that's a nice detail there. You can see her hair coming down a little bit there as well. Now, one thing I noticed about the original artwork, let me go ahead and take a look at it again. You notice on the original artwork, okay, I'm trying to get it to focus there, she has a gap, or she's missing a tooth, I should say, so it does create a gap there. And I actually like that detail on that original artwork, so I kind of wish he had done that with the figure as well. I think it just would lend even more personality if she actually had the missing tooth. You know, if it was just black there or even sculpted, I don't know, that might be a little bit trickier to have it actually sculpted out, you know, the missing tooth. But I just think that would add even more personality to her. But yeah, I think this character is and you know, this take on Little Red is one of the standouts here out of these figures. This is definitely one of my favorites. She's got the band-aids on her knees there as well, got the sneakers going on, and the sneaks look like they actually got paw prints on them. So yeah, this one is definitely one of my favorites out of this set. By the way, before I move on, I do want to point out, when you go to Amazon, these are not blind boxes, so you actually buy exactly what you want. So if you see any characters here that stand out to you that you'd like to add to your collection, you know, just you can go for them directly. And another standout for me is Loki. I do like what he did here with Loki. I think this is a good take on the character. And I like the detail and the sculpting. Like, even, I mean, I know this is minor to some people, but I actually like when ears actually have some detailing to them and they're sculpted in to look more realistic. I appreciate details like that. You know, I like that the horns are not perfectly symmetrical. I just think that it adds more character here. He's got the L there on the belt. Yeah, this Loki for me is a standout. If you're a big fan of Loki just in general as a character, I think this is a really solid take on the character. So that's another one of my favorites. I did notice as I was kind of looking up the characters, they do have, when they're named on Amazon, I think they have like associated colors along with them. I don't think I saw that on the boxes, but with Thor, I think he's referred to as Orange Marmalade, and he does have that really strong orange hair color going on there. Of course, he has Mjolnir. I like the colors on this one too. There's something about them that feel almost like kind of retro in a way, like a 70s style to them. So yeah, this take on Thor is another one that I think is pretty awesome. Really do like the hair sculpt on this one as well. So this is another standout for me out of this series. And I actually think Thor and Loki actually look pretty good there together. Dracula is another one that I'm not super crazy about, just to be honest. And maybe it has something to do with the story. I know he's mentioned to be a gamer. The wings here actually look like they're, I don't know if these are meant to be real wings or if they're mechanical, or if it's just the way the suit looks that almost makes them look mechanical. But yeah, I just don't completely understand what he was going for here with Dracula. This is just not one of my personal favorites. And you know, with these designs, of course, you all let me know what you think about them in the comments, and I'm sure that Kyle would appreciate the feedback as well, you know, what you think about the individual designs here. But yeah, for me personally, Dracula he just doesn't do much for me in terms of his design. I think the suit makes him look almost like he works at a hotel or something. I don't completely understand all the concept behind that. Oh, and I want to say this as well, because I know with some of these details here, it relates to the story. So I got to throw this question to Kyle, like, what basically is your intended audience in terms of the story? Because I feel like in some ways the story aspect of this would appeal to a young audience, would appeal to kids and maybe preteens more so, like I said, the story aspect of it, because I think, if people grow up with Smashcraft, then maybe they'll be into the story more. But for adults to get into the story, I think it's going to be a tougher sell. I'm just being real about that. But like I said, I kind of wonder, what is your intended audience? Because I'm noticing as I'm reading some of the stories that it feels like some of the word choice, the verbiage of it might appeal more to adults, might be geared more towards adults. But yeah, I would just be careful about that in terms of your storytelling. If you know that this is going to appeal to a younger audience, just make sure it's written in a way that they can follow it easily. So I'm just putting that out there. So another one that stands out to me that I like is Hades. Okay, I definitely like this look for Hades. I really like the details on the helmet. They got the chains on there, and the Cerberus as well, I think is a good idea for the helmet. Of course, he has that evil look going on, the grimace. Yeah, so I think he did a good job here overall with Hades. In terms of his pose, I don't know. I mean, he just has sort of a typical angry pose. So maybe something different could have been done with that. Maybe he could have had something in one hand or something. But overall, I do think this is a very solid figure. And I've always been kind of a sucker for the Cerberus design, the three-headed demon dog there. Basically, I've always liked that. Now, when I first saw Merlin, I was a little bit thrown by this. I was like, why does he look like a cop? But in terms of the storytelling, from what I glanced on the side of the box, I think he basically is, in a way. I think it said he's a protector of this timepiece, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely like the detail of the fire in the hand and the way he's holding the book there. Not one of my favorite designs here, though. I don't really like the colors so much. This pale blue, I'm not a big fan of that. I think the face sculpt and everything, it does look like the Merlin that we would think of. But yeah, this is just not one of my favorites out of the set. Now, Anubis, I do like this one, and this is where I think the hand painted style of the figures really shines, because I feel like Anubis should sort of have an aged look to him, and he does. Like, I think this looks really awesome there on the cape. It's almost comic book style looking there. So yeah, this is another standout for me, and I do think the headpiece works there as well. I'm not sure exactly what mythical creature that's meant to evoke, or if it's just like sort of a mashup of them. I'm not really sure there. But yeah, overall, like I said, I like this sort of aged look with Anubis. I think that one works pretty well. And the folded arms, works for that character also. Okay, then we have here Athena. I'm not sure. Oh, is this meant to be Medusa's head? Because I see the snakes there. I think it is. Okay, I didn't realize that at first. I do like the detail there of the snakes crawling back onto her arm there. But this is another one where I think the paint job could be cleaner. I definitely see some issues with the paint job. And, the way she's holding the sword there, I see this with Funko Pops as well. I feel like if you're going to have a character holding a sword, I think you really got to position it like they know what they're doing with it. To me, this is mainly, I feel like this is prioritizing showing the details of the sword as opposed to making it seem like she's actually going to put it to use. I feel like you got to have them, holding the weapon like they know what they're doing with it. So yeah, I'm not super crazy about this one. This is not one of my favorites out of the set. Although once I realized who she actually is, I was like, okay, the design does make more sense for me. Like I said, that was my fault, confusing her with another goddess. And then we have here Poseidon. And I will give him props. I do like there is some diversity with these characters. So I like what he did here with Poseidon. Although I will say, you notice there's several characters here that have sort of a headdress that is basically an animal or a creature or whatever. And I don't know if that was 100% necessary with Poseidon. Like this shark, because I live near Myrtle Beach, so there are like a lot of really kitschy restaurants and stuff like that that'll have like giant crabs and sharks and things like that on top of them. That's what this kind of reminds me of. It almost reminds me of like almost like a trinket that you would find like at Myrtle Beach, one of the stores or something. So and that's maybe just a personal reaction there, but so that's why I'm not so crazy about the shark head on this one. And like I said, there's headdresses that are done better on the other figures here. One detail I do like though is I like how the beard is tied up and then it basically creates like a shark tail there. That is pretty clever. I also like the starfish on the knees, and I love that it has the scaling too, and it's actually sculpted, the scaling of the outfit kind of reminds me of like, one of Aquaman's outfits. But yeah, so I kind of have mixed feelings on this particular figure. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but there are some nice details to it. Okay, and then we have here, oh wait, before I forget, I did leave his box off to the side because I did want to point this out to Kyle. And this happens, I know, sometimes with Funko Pops and other collectibles, to where the insert got damaged, and it might be due to like the weight of the figures. That might have been the issue with it when it got moved around some. It kind of messed up the insert. Now for me personally, I don't care. That's not really a big concern for me, but for some collectors, I think they want everything intact, so I know it's just something to think about there in terms of the packaging, and I'm saying that directly to Kyle. But like I said, for me personally, these figures, I would definitely leave them out of box. I mean, they do have the window and you can see them pretty well inside of the box, but for me personally, I think I would keep these sitting out. So finally here we have King Arthur. This is another one that has that nice scaling going on. I like the colors overall for him. This is another one though where I feel like the headdress is maybe not one of the best out of the series, so I'm not super crazy about that. And then having the feet there too, yeah, I'm just not super crazy about that design necessarily. I do like the detailing on the back though here with the spikes going on the dragon, and he's got the sword there. I like the way that the sword is positioned, and that to me is a good example of holding a a sword in kind of a cool way. Yeah, I like that, like he's about to unsheath it basically, and it even has like a dragon head there, I think, on the hilt, so that is pretty cool. So this one, again, this is another one that's kind of mixed for me. Not super crazy about the headdress, but there are some other nice details here. And this is one too, also, yeah, paint job could be a little bit better there. But I would hope, with the production of these figures that gets cleaned up some more, basically. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from you all. What do you think about this series as a whole? The concept here. I think, and let me check the letter here real quick. I don't want to misspeak. He said that there will there be comic shows, movies, you betcha. So I do wonder, and Kyle can probably share this in a response, I do wonder as far as the artwork for the I don't know if he's going to do like animation. I'm assuming it would be animation. I just wonder, what style are you going with? Are you actually going with the look of these figures here, or are you going with the original art style more so for the characters? Like what is to be expected with that? Because again, I think that's something that could affect who is your audience and like who buys into this. But yeah, like I was saying, y'all, let me know what you think about the series as a whole. What are the standout figures here for you? Do make sure that you do show Kyle some support. I know that he has a following on TikTok as well, with his artwork, his Peanuts mashups and everything. So yeah, follow him on TikTok, check him out on Instagram, and do check out the listings as well on Amazon. And if you like any of the particular characters, like I said, you can order them directly. They're not blind boxes, so you can order the ones that you like directly. Again, for me, the main standouts are, I really like Little Red. I definitely like Loki. I like the Thor as well. This is actually the first one that really caught my attention. I do think that Hades is pretty cool. Okay, I like Anubis. Like I said, I really like that weather look. I think these are the main standouts for me out of the series. That's just me personally. One thing I want to say as well, Kyle, I know that you seem to be heavily invested in Smashcraft now, which is cool, and you definitely seem to put a lot of thought into this. One thing I would say though, in the future, is maybe to challenge yourself more to do something that's completely original. I know you refer to these as OCs, as original characters, and I know that they are your take on, these public domain characters, so to a certain extent they are OCs, but I just feel like you have the talent in you in the future to do something that is completely original. Even with your Peanuts artwork, you're mashing up the Peanuts with other well-known properties. But I think to really have your own voice and to really set yourself apart, I think that you could push yourself and do something that is 100% original. And I look forward to seeing that in the future. And you all, like I said, I have a lot of appreciation for people that follow through on their visions and actually get things done. So, he has this vision for Smashcraft and he's following through on it. You can actually buy these figures right now, and he has a lot more plans for this. I think that's awesome. So that's why I like to try to support these types of individuals, and like I said, I'm going to be honest when I review things. I share the positives and my perceived negatives, but when it comes down to it, I think that Kyle is off to a great start here, and I really do appreciate the effort he's putting into this. So share your own thoughts down in the comments, and if there's anything else that you think I should review, please let me know, because I really would like to do more reviews on this channel. So, please share your thoughts with that. I do have some other things that are coming up soon, some other unboxings, and also a review of a statue that I just got in. So be on the lookout for those videos. Of course, there will be, some other content coming up in the near future as well. So please continue to support the channel. Like the videos, click the notification bell, all that good stuff. Thank you all so much for taking the time to check this out. Kyle, thank you so much for sending these figures over for me to review, and I will talk to you all again real soon.